Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn on this fill light here. So I'm turning that on just by turning on the zone. We're going to have you look straight forward. So we had one look there. Let's get a different look. Beautiful. All right, and give me that not a smiley look, but a seriously. Oh, no. Got a laughing model. It's no good. Wellington. Okay, with this shot here, we have sort of a smoky look that I like. I like that. And what we could do is just move this beauty dish to the side, a little bit more pancakey light, like that. And now let's shoot that again. Beautiful. Ah, look at that. But what I want is I want to see the highlights on her cheeks. She's got some great highlights on her cheeks. So we're going to add those highlights to the cheeks really quickly. So again, looking smoky, there we go. And now we have the highlights, but to me, it's too much. Those highlights are too much. So John, let's have you come out, and then what I want you to do is to take the master dial there, right by the sync port, just roll it down all the way.
It's at -1 now, so we can go down one more step.
Yep, and then click test there. Okay, now hide. And now hide. And now hide. Okay. Perfect.
Hiding.
Perfect. I love that. Now look at what we're getting there with these highlights on her cheeks. Very, very nice. What we could do with that is let's drop out the fill light. So drop that out. And now we're going to go with Beauty Dish and just highlights on cheekbones. Which is sort of cool. I like the fill light helping out a little bit, but you can see that this is, I keep getting the background back there. I'll do it one more time. Good. Yeah, so that's with no fill. So I'll show you with fill and without fill, and you can see that we have a very different look. So that's 3 looks that we have. Then what I want to do is I'm going to turn off my kicker lights here. I'm going to turn on my background light. We're going to do essentially the same thing. And now what we have is something that I don't really like. This. By the way, the reason I keep getting the background, we're working with a much narrower setup than I normally have. Usually this is about a foot wider. And I'm shooting back a ways. And I can't, because here we are. So if I'm shooting farther away, basically my lens, there we go. My lens, the angle of view would be narrower, and I wouldn't be hitting the sides of that background. But because we're sort of smushed together, I have to use a wider angle lens, and I keep hitting that background. So that's one of the reasons we keep seeing this back showing up, because I'm only shooting at about 100 millimeters. Normally on this setup, I'd be shooting at about 200 millimeters, which would put me back where these guys are hanging out, which is no good. Okay, so that light back there, John, it's just a bit too bright. So let's take that down just a smidge. And we're doing this by taste. I'm doing the Tamar Levine metering method. So take it down by about 2/3 of a stop.
Go ahead, dump that.
Okay, I'm going to trigger it. Boom. All right, now we're going to, and you can just stay there for a second.
Yeah.
All right, firing that. You can see that's a little bit more pleasing. I think that works, John.
Okay.
So we'll compare those 2 shots. You see the shot that's a little more gray, I think works better than the shot that's a little bit more white. We're having less light. It just doesn't make her look underexposed as much. So let's do this. Let's actually add in with that. We're going to now add in the kicker lights. So now we have this really sort of high-key look, which is groovy. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn off that background light, turn off the kicker lights, and we're going to do a vignette. And we'll see how we do on this. I'm going to widen this out a little bit so we actually see some of the edges. And so, John, if you move that just to the right a hair.
To the right.
Yeah, clockwise.
Yeah. Try that.
Just a tiny bit more.
Hang on a second.
Perfect. And then just raise it directly up about 4 inches.
Try that.
Perfect. All right, now what we're doing, we're going to shoot a vertical portrait, and you're giving me exactly the look I want. This is perfect. Perfect. I love that. So here's another totally different look. So check this out. We have this look. We had this look. We've got this look. So we're shaping things in ways, and if we had more space, we could really isolate these different zones in ways that work for us. So I want to show you, I'm going to turn off my key light and show you just what the different zones look like. So this is just that vignetted background. We've got that. This is just the background light. And notice how that is a perfect silhouette. Perfect silhouette. And that's what we want to see. We want no light spilling on the front of her. We're going to turn on now the highlights on her cheek. And on this one, we're actually getting some spill on the background, which I don't like. So normally what I would do is we would fix the angle of those V-flats to make sure that we didn't have any light spilling on the background. That should be a completely black background at this point. But it's showing up a little bit because we're too close to the background. Yeah, we could open them. Normally we just move them forward. Mm-hmm. So we'll leave it like it is. But that should be absolutely black on the background. And the other thing that we're seeing here is we're seeing, see, her face actually has a little bit of light. And so what's happening is this floor is glossy. And so that light is actually reflecting off the floor, and it's showing up on her face a little bit. So that should be completely black as well. And so if we had more time, we would do some things to fix where the light is spilling. But we'll take it. And then we're going to do just this fill light really fast. So I'm going to shut off that light. And we'll see what this looks like. Oh, I have to turn it on. I've got to turn it on. All right, now we'll try that one more time. Look right at me. Perfect. And this is what that fill looks like. And this fill looks a little too campfire-y for me. What we might want to do is raise that up just a little bit so we get more of that light in her eyes. But that's where we are. And again, just the key light. I'll turn that on. We'll turn this guy off. And this is just the key light. Look straight at me. Perfect. I think I got you mid-blink. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, and that's just the key.
And did you want to grid the beauty dish? Or no?
Yeah, and then we'll do a beauty dish grid. But before I do that, I'm wondering if there are any questions so far. Do you guys have any questions? I'm peeking out.
This is awesome.
Yes.
Is it fun?
I will say,
Peel back the onion of lights to get the whole picture is pretty awesome.
It's pretty fun, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that we're seeing here, I feel like, can I come over and does this work? Yeah, that works. Okay, yeah, so the thing I like about this setup, it's very, very flexible. And, you know, we haven't even worked a lot with it, with changing the angle. So that spill that was coming around on the background and on the front of Lex's face, we could start moving these in different directions to make them a little bit smaller or larger. If you take one of these and make it really, really narrow and put a light in there, you're getting essentially a strip light because it's a tall, narrow thing. If you put it out really wide, you're getting a large softbox kind of feel. And so by changing that bookend, the different angles, not only are you changing this effective size of the light, you also change the angle of reflection on that. And so had we had a little bit more time, and we have the time, it's just really boring, honestly. You know, if I go in there and I start doing 3 inches here and taking a picture and 3 inches there, what will happen is everybody will go get lunch. We don't want to do that. But that's sort of where we would be if we were in a shoot in a commercial setting or in a studio setting doing some stuff with friends. Normally on something like this, let's just say that somebody hired me to do jewelry shots or whatever it was we're going to use these for. What I would normally do is I would say, do you have a model? Yes, it's Lex. We'd bring Lex in the day before, or at least the morning before, and we would do all that boring stuff. We would set everything up, have it preset, have her sit down, and every person has a different structure of face, and so the light is going to behave differently. You know, if you have a round face, it's those V-flats we have back here might need to be adjusted differently than if you have a square face because of the way that the light needs to surround and highlight. And so we would do all the adjustments and tweak it and get it just perfect. And then when the client came in, we'd sit down the model and we'd start taking pictures and they'd be like, that's amazing. You know, it just worked right out of the bat without them seeing a lot of the work that goes in behind the scenes. That, by the way, is one of the frustrations I have with making hundreds of online videos because I only get to show the successful part of, here's how you do it. Bump, 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 and click, 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 and it works and it's great. Because if you left in all the stuff of, oh gosh, we can't find a cable and this isn't working and the battery's dead and all that stuff, nobody would watch the videos. But that's the reality of it. There's all the stuff that everybody experiences. And so a lot of the videos that I create and other instructors create, they're sort of misleading, honestly, because it sort of makes it look like you just set it up and shoot and it works. It never happens that way. You set it up and it's close, then you tweak and do some things and fix the cables and replace the batteries and drink your coffee and eat your granola bar and then shoot and then it works and then you film that part. So, yeah, yes.
Do you kind of normally work in the progression we've just seen, like starting at the front, expose your model and working back, or do you
Yes.
yeah?
Yeah, because I'd start with the key light, because what we did with the 3-light setup, by the way, this is a 3-light setup. We have a key light, that beauty dish, a fill light, the thing coming in. We have kicker lights, or separation lights in the background, or separation lights with the grid. This is a 3-light setup. Even though it's 6 lights, it's still the same thing. Yes, yes.
It's just amazing to see how you didn't move the model, you didn't move the camera. It was on a stand the whole time, and
Right.
yet it was amazing the depth of, you know, the number of looks you were able to create just by removing lights and having the V-flats because of the depth and the dimension that added to the picture.
Yeah, and there's still stuff we could do with this that we didn't do. So that white seamless background back there, there is a system called an X-pan system where you can put multiple seamless paper and roll them up and down. And it's very I think it's like $300 for one of these things. So the X-pan system, it's made by Manfrotto. We could have put black, white, blue, red, and had all these different colors back there. And then based on the outfit that the person was wearing, we could roll up and down these different colors and we get dramatically different effects. And we could use something called color contrast. So red dress, blue background, blue background. You know, if we had different colors, we combine those for complementary colors. So we could have done that. The other thing we could have done that we don't have space for here is normally I even have more lights. We have these umbrellas that are sort of on the side toward the back where we can illuminate the background evenly without a lot of stuff coming back. We would also push this out so we'd have more isolated zones. We'll do this in a second, but we could also grid the beauty dish, take the beauty dish off, change that out for a soft box. We could have full-length shots, actually. This actually does work with full-length shots. We don't have enough room for it here, but we could do a 4x6 softbox in the front or an octabox. So this setup, which is not crazy, actually, when you start thinking about it, one setup and many, many, many different looks. Yes?
So hypothetically, let's say that she was an athlete and you wanted to get more body and more like muscle form, and she was more, so specular highlighting, getting her kind of a fuller body shot, how would you alter this setup you just?
A couple of things. So right now, a lot of the modifiers and lights are on the ground. And so one of the things I would do, like the Pro Photo Acute 2s are in the middle. And I don't know if we have a boom shot we can show. Inside here, there are 2 lights, and they're strung together with a pack in the center. And then we have the softbox way back there that's on the ground in the center. And then we have these 2 lights on the front that are on booms. And so the 2 lights on the front, we could substitute something that's a little bit larger. Probably what I would do is I would use a 7-foot umbrella parabolic on the front, about 8 feet, 10 feet where we can't stand because there's a wall there. So I'd be standing with that huge parabolic umbrella because it's very directional, so it's already going to give you nice muscle tone. And then what I would also do is probably build out a platform. So we have these flats in our studio that are 4 by 8 foot sheets of plywood framed out. And so they're very sturdy. They're 3/4 inch plywood. And then what you can do is you can just take 2x4s and raise those to different heights. You can also get wing or stage if you have tons of money. But you can build these things out. And so that's what I would do is I would build a small stage. You can do that in an hour or so. Cover that with whatever floor I would want to do. And so then that would raise her, and then all the stuff on the ground, when I shot directly, you wouldn't see that. Or I would take multiple packs and sort of hide them and tuck them away or do some things like that. Or maybe not use the softbox, but use umbrellas on the side so we have a clear path. The problem is full-length shot, you're going to see that floor, and you've got to take care of it. The other thing I might do is take the seamless and bring it all the way out. So the seamless are usually, 100 yards, something like that. So you'd have plenty of space, or maybe 50 yards. I don't know how long they are, but long enough. Do we have other online questions?
No, I think we can keep going. I have a comment from S. Ferris who said, Mark Wallace is rocking light shaping like Spanx on the Oscars runway. That's some awesome sauce for Tina. So that's just a special
awesome
shout out
sauce.
There. All right, so I think we can keep going.
Okay.
We have a lot more to cover, don't we?
So no, we're close to being.
Are we?
We have
Okay,
about.
cool.
I think what I want to do is work with the beauty or the grid on the softbox or the beauty dish. Softbox, beauty dish. What are we talking about? Beauty dish, grid. We want to do that to see how that changes the look, and then we'll try to do some more pancake-like. But you had a question really quick. Yes.
Real quick, ballpark cost of everything that you are using right now.
Okay, let me do it. Write this down. Maybe you can write it down. So we have a B1 back there. That's the most expensive light I think we have. It's $2,400. Okay. We wouldn't use that normally because we just had to because that was the only light we had available.
Got it.
We'd normally use a D1. That'd be about $1,000.
Okay.
I think. Ish. Big ish on all of this stuff. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, $10,000.
Plus the V-flats?
Including them. They'll throw those in for free. Yeah. About that. But, okay, that's a ridiculous amount of money for this, right? Mm-hmm. You could do this in a number of ways. You could rent the gear. So we're using Pro Photo gear. One of the reasons I use Pro Photo gear is you can rent it in any major city, anywhere in the world. And so I think the rental on this, we're at about $100.
All of this equipment?
Around there. Maybe Lacey knows, or Kate, I don't know if they're, somebody back there knows. But I think it's around $100. Okay. Yeah. So I say $10,000 for all this gear, but really it's going to be around $100-ish to rent, depending on where you are, what city you are. If you're in Manhattan, it's going to be a little bit more than it is if you're in Seattle, et cetera. But yeah, around there. All right, we're going to work with our beauty dish. I'm going to come back here in the cocoon. And John, can we get the grid outside of that? And I'm going to take a drink of water. Are you still awake in there? Is it cozy in your fort? Is it warm in there? A little. Okay, cool. Let's put this all, oh, if you can do it, that'd be great.
I think so.
We're just going to put a grid on our beauty dish and see if we can get a little bit different look.
Am I close?
No, up the smidgen.
Here, let me come to this side.
Okay.
It's not quite in. There it is.
There we go. What I'm going to do here, just to change things up a little bit, I'm going to make this more of a clamshell lighting style. Just a bit more. And then the other thing we're going to do is, Lex, we're going to have you take your black jacket, and I'll take that. And what we want to do is we want to show, this is more of a, like a Dove beauty commercial kind of a look. Okay, so this we're going to have it more directional. And Lex and I have done this a few times. So can you look and tell me if it's on axis? Yes. Looks good. Okay. And then we'll move this guy a little bit. And so it's more of a clamshell type light. Okay. Move this over just a hair. Just a hair. All right. And I just moved it over, didn't I? Yeah, it moved a smidge. Moved a smidge. Yeah. This back here. Again, one reason I like Matthew's stands, the bases don't run into each other. I'm going to stop complaining about these stands. Okay. That's good? Yeah. It makes a huge difference. And here's a small problem.
Yeah, a little bit.
Then I'm like, oh, I wonder if that works. So go ahead and let's meter this, and I will.
You want to rearrange, or you're just going to?
No, I'll work with it. I'll make it work.
Ready?
I'll make it work.
One more.
That's at 9?
9. Yep.
Okay. And this is firing? Yep. Okay, so we're at 9. So we've lost quite a bit of light here.
With the grid.
With the grid. That's okay. And I'm going to shut off. So I'm going to shut off everything except the zone A and zone B. And then we will do our best to get this shot. Beautiful. Hold that right there. See if I can focus. Okay. So let's take the acute pack, and we need to take the power down. So it's on full on B.
Right.
So just click that so it's on half.
Half, yep.
The B switch, click it to half. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to shoot this again. And we might even need to take it down a little bit more. Yeah, take it down to
a quarter and then dial up.
Take it down to quarter. If that doesn't work, we might even switch out.
Or I can dial up, or you can
We have still lots of room to go on that pack. Yeah, so then take the A and B switch and click it down. Just click that. Yep, there you go. That's all you have to do?
Yep.
Perfect. I'm giving John directions on a pack that I've used. That's what I want right there. Okay. That's what I want. Here's the shot that I was looking for. That is a beauty shot. Very, very cool. You can see what happened between these two things is I was flooding this with light. So we got rid of, I think that backlight was actually firing. Not sure. Yeah, I think the very, very backlight is firing now.
Which one?
The one on the
floor?
softbox, yeah. So I don't want that to fire. So it should just be A and B.
Go ahead and fire. Nope.
It's not? Okay.
Nope.
Okay, but that's the shot that I want, is this one right here. And see what we've done? So we added a grid to this, and I'll come back out so everybody can see me. I added a grid to the beauty dish, and so that constrained the light, so we get more shadows to this. And then we took the power of these V-flats down considerably. We took it down by, I think, 4 stops, something like that. And so instead of having these really well-defined highlights, notice that we just get a kiss of light, just a really shallow kiss of light on the cheeks. And it just gives us a touch of specular highlights, which gives us that form that we're looking for. So instead of overdoing it and just having like, rah, big superhero kind of, we just really gave a soft touch. And for my money, that is much better. And you can imagine if we had some jewelry, some diamonds or some earrings or whatever, this is going to look phenomenal. It's going to be great.
Quick question.
Okay.
A lot of people have been asking about strip boxes with grids versus the V-flats. So Anoop Dubai had asked, what's the advantage of the V-flats versus the strip box with grids? And people were really excited to know that they could use this instead of the strip boxes.
Yes. The strip boxes with grids are better because you can control the light much easier. You can really control where the light falls. They are much more expensive. So these things here are like $30. A strip light with a grid is going to run you, some of those are like $600 each. And so if you can rent them, fantastic, and use those over the V-flats. But in a pinch, a V-flat can give you all kinds of stuff. We used it yesterday to build that little box of the speed light to get a nice flash. You can use these as temporary walls to bounce light using a speed light. You can use them in the studio instead of a softbox or a strip light. You can use them for all kinds of things. You can use them outside as a reflector. And so the efficiency and the versatility of a V-flat compared to a strip light or a strip softbox, it's a big difference.